All right, so you completed all the course. Congratulations.
Thank you. I get a certificate. I get a
Yeah,
certificate,
you
right?
get a
Yes.
certificate. Yeah.
Awesome.
So congrats. Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about a little bit about what it was like for before court, what it was like when you're engaged with court, and then afterwards. So we'll go through that. So, how do you feel starting this program?
I
Disbelief.
was I was yeah right. I was very eager and very interested in this course because quantum thinking is something that I enjoy and I like learning about. I like to work with, and so a program that is going to allow that to happen, that's very exciting. I can tell you though, I was a little intimidated because I didn't know if I would be able to comprehend it
Mm,
as well as I wanted to. Just because it's in an area that takes a lot of mental
yeah.
use. So I just didn't know if I had the capacity or if I had the drive to do it properly enough. I didn't know if I'd be able to spend the time in it that I thought I would need at that point in time. So I was excited, but like I said, I was very intimidated by what I was about to explore.
Yeah. I think I had the same feelings. I mean, you and I have worked together on previous projects before, but I didn't know if you'd be really engaged with something like this,
Right.
because it's kind of an unknown, and
Yes.
it's a really unknown when you're going through it. But yeah, and you didn't know what to expect, and I didn't really know what to expect as a result either. Like was how is this going to affect you versus somebody like me? Like, what's the difference? Or somebody else that I've worked with similar things. Like how is it going to change you? And that was exciting to see as you went through the
Right.
program.
Or is it going to? I
Right.
think there was a lot of, is this going to do something? Is this going to actually do what we're promoting it to do?
Yeah.
So I think that was part of the intimidation or the that thing that you're like, huh, I don't know, is this actually going to work?
Yeah.
Um, and then it was like it did. Like even from the first day that I started with the material, you were presented with archetypal energy. Now, if you don't know what archetypal energy is, like that's a whole new concept. That's kind of those having to learn something kind of, especially if you're in an older age,
Mm-hmm.
is a little daunting because you're having to start from the beginning and take all this information. You're not sure if you're going to actually grasp it, comprehend it, or keep it. But when you start with the material and you start realizing that we're talking about things that we already do know about, you're now just able to make the association with them. It's Things started, like everything around me started to become what I was learning. I
Mm-hmm.
was seeing it. I was interacting with it. I was understanding a little bit more. And this is just with the first module. I was understanding like how people are acting just by understanding archetypal energies. And so, like, we don't talk about this much in our daily society. You hear it referenced a lot. You hear
Mm-hmm.
it in books, you hear it in even a lot of the podcasts that I listen to. You hear them talk about archetypal energies, but like we don't ever like really touch any basis
Yeah.
of this is something that is the basis of everything we do in life, this energy. Through literature, I mean, mythology, religion, everything. And so as I'm learning about just in the beginning of this, I was starting to see it and starting to understand. So I knew at this point in time, my mind was opening to concepts that I knew about, I just never actually put much thought to it. And so as you're walking through and you're learning that, and then you're starting to learn about meditation. A lot of people, I think we meditate through our days and we don't really even know it. But when you realize you're meditating and you actually make time to meditate, things start changing. You start changing on the inside, especially because you start learning to listen. You start learning about fluctuations of your body, breathing. alone. You become more aware of how much air you're intaking and breathing and the circular breathing and the calming factor and those types of things. So you start becoming more aware. So you got archetype or energies and you're meditating. Okay, you put those two together, that's very powerful because then your mind is expanding even more and it's starting to generate thought that you didn't have before. That's just very exciting because,
Hmm.
like, when you start having that realization of personal growth that way, like this system's working. I haven't even gotten through all the modules yet, just with that alone. So then when we're learning about symbols and tying energy to symbols, emotion to symbols. We know that everything is energy based. We know that. We know we can direct energy. We know we can do these types of things. And so the whole concept and learning that you can take a symbol and you can inject your energy of emotion and tie it, and then utilizing that. Well, this energy you're pulling from is what? Your archetypes, the ones that we use. So like this is exciting. It's like building a puzzle. It's a
Hmm.
key. We're putting a key together. And so that was exciting because as this is happening, I'm seeing it. Well, my symbol, as we talk about, um, starts showing up everywhere. I have it, it's everywhere.
Hmm.
We have a similar one. You know, it's like, okay, so you start directing the energy towards that symbol. That symbol is then powering you to stay on your course of, well, I've now set these goals. Well, this symbol is helping me move through this goal. Next thing you know, I'm on the other side of the goal and I'm a little bit further up in the mountain. And it was exciting to see it happen because I didn't know it was happening until I got to the point where my first goal had been moved. And it was like, and so I stopped and I looked back and I went through the modules again and I thought, wow, this all happened just because every day I sat down with this material and I put some time to it and I did what it was set it to do. And I didn't do it wholeheartedly. I'll be honest in the beginning. Like it was like, okay, I need to do this because we're doing this and we're working on this.
Yeah.
So that first module, it was like I
Yeah.
didn't put all the energy into it and I was experiencing change. Well, hell, if I'm going to experience change that way, I'm going to start really dedicating more time and energy into it. And so as you're going and we get to this memory wheel, like this was probably one of the amazing things in the world to learn because you realize and you'll see when you get to this module, you'll start seeing them everywhere. You'll start seeing how we utilize these in our daily lives. We've been utilizing them for a long time. We just never were told what they were. I mean, even when we were kids, we had this machine that had a pull string on it, that had a spindle in the middle, that had a cow, and you
Hmm.
pull that string and it went around and it landed on there and it created a sound. This is how we taught to learn. And this is exactly what we're doing here. We're tying concepts together to help with energy focus. And with energy focus, it helps you move through your next levels of whatever you're working towards. As long as you have put something in front of you to work towards and you do this program, you're going to make it there. It may not be in the exact way that you thought, because that happens, because everything is subject to change no matter what, but you do eventually get there in whatever way it is. And so it's really fascinating to understand as you're going how society has been built with some of the things that we're learning in the court system. It's not new information. It's not new age. It's not new age stuff at all. It is very old. It's very worthy of knowledge to know because you can utilize it and you can actually make it work in 2024, 2025, 3068. No matter where we're at in our timelines, as long as you understand and you work this, you're going to be very successful and you're going to be able to make the change into where you're at. I've been working on in my job where I'm at. I work a daytime job. I don't want to be tied to it anymore. I want to have a little bit more freedom. I want to be able to be at home and doing more stuff here. I have some personal things I'm working on that I want to put that energy in it because it can be very successful if I could put all that there. Well, this is one of the things that I was working on and it has started slowly getting there. I don't work all the hours there anymore. I have an extra day that they're allowing me to do because I've gotten everything cleaned up. So my goals have changed, and so I'm making the steps to getting to my next thing. I've set another goal. This goal crazy to get up 2 hours earlier than I normally have. I've been able to do this
Hmm.
because I've been utilizing the court system, and it has not been hard. Like, it's one of those things I'm like, I don't know if I can do this because I really like to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
sleeping is a thing. And when I started this, it starts with the brain. You make the decision in your brain, I'm going to do this. Well, you take that there and you bring it out and you focus it out. It's an alchemical process.
Yeah.
What you create, you imagine here, you can create out here. And that's really what this is. And so, like, this has been the life change. And I'm getting up 2 hours early. I'm having a little bit more time in the morning. I have time to focus. I've also found out morning seems to be a slower part of
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Slow,
so I like it.
calmer.
Right. I'm not feeling like I'm racing towards something that I have no idea what I'm racing towards. Everything is slowed down. I have a little bit more breathing room. And I really attribute all of this at this point to the court system, to putting
have
this
you
together and us doing this.
have you tried to do the 2 hour wake up 2 hours early before?
Oh, yes. Yes, I
Okay.
have. My
And
brain just
yeah,
didn't want to.
I
Like, I
noticed
would
that.
try.
I mean, this wake up wake up early goal. When
Mhm.
did that start? Like a week ago?
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
and how long did it take for you to be like, okay, I'm doing this?
Two
Like,
2 days.
nice. Yeah.
It took me 2 days because the first day, what happened was I had gotten up. My mom and dad go to lunch or go to breakfast every morning with my brother every Thursday, and they're always like, "Oh, you can come." Well, I want to come, but I normally go to work at 8 o'clock, and so it's like either I go to breakfast or I take whatever.
Hmm.
And I was like, they had said again, "You should come. You can come." I'm like, I'm going to go to breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, that morning I had got some things I needed to get finished and get done. So my alarm went off at 5. I got up, did my morning ritual. Normally I'd go right back to bed, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I kept my feet on the ground and I stayed awake. Made it through the day. And I remember sitting at breakfast and I thought, I watched my clock and I was like, time is not moving fast. Like, I don't feel like I'm waiting to go back to work. I don't feel like I'm got something pending to get
Mm.
to. Like, and I really noticed how time had slowed down. And I thought to myself, this is something that I need to pay attention to because obviously
Mm.
this is the time because my brain is very inspired at this point in time. I can get a lot done. I get a lot of thinking time done, a lot of preparation in my brain of what I need to do to work on or things I need to put together. And I've noticed that in the morning, that's when I'm very active at that. And I thought, that's when I made the determination. I need to put this with the court system and I need to work through this. And I did it for that night. Like you and I talked about it. I went
Hmm.
home and I started back through and I started with um, energy. I meditated first and then went to the symbol work and went through that and tied my energies and did my whole thing. It doesn't take me as long to do it now because I have a lot of
Hmm.
preset stuff already and I'm already daily working with this stuff, so it was easy to change my symbol. It was easy to like tie some different architect. I have a different wheel that I've had that I already had pre-set. I just had to finish it out, like
Mm.
put in my stuff. So 2 days, 2 days, and the next thing I know, my alarm didn't even go off. I woke right up at
Oh,
five
wow.
o'clock
Mm.
and got up, did my morning thing. Usually I walk right to my bedroom and go back into my bed and I get all nice and warm and I go back to sleep. Nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope. I had no desire,
Hmm. Wow.
no desire to walk back in my room. I had no desire. I had also, the night before, I thought, I took everything out of here that I needed to get ready and I put it in a different room.
Hmm.
So it no longer came back into, and it's
Yeah.
changing the habitual
Yeah.
part of what I normally do in the morning. But the only reason I was able to change that is because I consciously was like, as I picked up the symbol off my bed the night before, I went, I need to take these things and I need to move them.
Mm.
So just by that stimulating of that symbol that I saw made me change my thinking and made me do something that was completely that. That way in the morning when I got up, boom, I was up and I was not even because I knew I had a different path I had to go. And it was just really strange because my brain, like I said,
Yeah.
I didn't have the desire to go back to
Yeah.
sleep. I'm now getting up 2 hours prior than I normally do. I don't feel tired. I don't have the want to go back to bed. My body doesn't hurt as bad as it normally
Hmm.
does. And so like there's been these subtle changes that have happened. And yeah, it was always a struggle. Because
Hmm.
like I said, I like my bed, I like to sleep. But it's not the struggle. My mom tells me it's because I'm getting old. I think it's because of the court system, to be
Yeah.
honest, because I really believe that this system has really helped align my brain, my thinking, it where I focus my energy. I don't feel sporadic. I don't feel like I'm a mess all over the place. When I was learning about the memory wheel and how to put it together, that was my brain felt chaotic. I couldn't wrap my brain around how I was going to put all these different things together. That's when I went and I did the research and pulled up lists of symbols, of colors, of things that I really gravitate to, but I couldn't just off the top of my head pull them out. It doesn't work that way always for me. And so I had to pull those off. And that's what I utilized and was able to visually put everything
Hmm.
together. And after I did that, like I felt organized. I don't ever feel organized in my brain. I always feel like everything's tossed
Hmm.
around, like, and I got to go in and I got to clean it all up and everything. But I don't. Now, when I'm trying to sit down to
Hmm.
put things together, I'm very organized in my brain of how I do it. And I really think this program is
Yeah.
why, because I now know how to put things together.
Yeah.
So I think that's very beneficial. I've
Yeah.
really experienced a lot of change with the system.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
a lot of what you said resonates to my experience, even as you're going through it and me working with you go through it. Like, I think a lot of times people think, like in college and things like that, once the course is done, you're done kind of thing.
Right.
Oh, okay, I can throw that away
This
now.
is
Like,
never done. This
no,
is
it's
will
like,
go continuously in the cycle over and over and over again, as long as you use it, as long
yeah.
as you apply. Once you put it down and it's like muscle memory. Once you stop doing something, it doesn't ever go away. It may lessen and it may take you a little bit longer to get back into it, but you're going to always do this. Once you've learned this in your brain always
Mm-hmm.
knows. Quantum thinking is something our brains are capable of doing if we exercise it and we utilize it. When you stop utilizing it, that's when it kind of gets muted and dampened. But it's always in there because our brains know that we think like that. You just have to exercise it. And that's
Yeah.
what the core program, it exercises it. Meditation is very important with it because once you can get into a meditative state and you learn to focus, that opens a lot of doorways. And I just don't think I don't think we put as much emphasis on meditation. And I think a lot of it has to do with people,
But they don't know what
if
it
you're
is.
they don't know. They think you just sit there and close your eyes and that's it. And they don't understand like the
Yeah.
process behind it. Once you learn it though, it's very, very, very helpful in
Yeah.
daily life to manipulate stress levels, breathing, anxiety. One of the things I used to tell my kids as they were growing up when they would get all crazy, circular breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And like to this day, my kids will throw back at me too when I'm getting all a little crazy. Like my son will tell me, Mom, you just need to circular breathe, just relax, and it's like, yo, okay, these kids get
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, one thing I in the modules I talk about is like weight loss kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and eating healthier and stuff. And really, I realized that's not having a desired weight uh, limit is not a rational goal, right? Because maybe you gain muscle,
Right.
um, you know, and so that's not really the goal. The goal is to be healthier and to feel good, right? And
Yes.
and I think intuitively I kind of know what that feels like as I progress more closer to that.
Yes.
And so the court system changed that. It changed what I thought the goal was to be something different and made more sense. And then also um, to be rational about like how I look at eating. So like if I go to a friend's house or something like that where I want to eat something that isn't exactly healthy for me, I
Right.
can choose to do that and not so much be driven by the emotional feelings of wanting to do that. So there's like that space in between of like, oh, I'm going to do this versus like me just doing it out of
Right.
something I don't understand why. And and then like when I want to eat healthy, it's not like a struggle. Like started doing a fast where I don't eat pretty much breakfast or lunch. I just eat dinner.
Right.
And I thought that'd be really hard to do, because it would be before, I think. But it was like, no, I'm just going to do this. And then I felt a little hungry, and I was like, no, that's what we said we are going to do, so we're going to do that, you know. And next thing you know, it's not hard to do anymore, you know. Same as working out. I added an additional day of workout to my workout routine, which I thought would be really challenging to do, um, but it wasn't. And it made me more tired, you know, and
Right.
hungry, which
Yep.
I expected to happen. You know, it's like this will make you hungrier and more tired.
Right.
And so maybe I need to eat, you know, on that day or something like that versus fasting. And
That
that's,
or supplementing with a protein helps,
yeah,
just a mild protein. That way you get that feeling
yeah,
and you're just going to work that off
yeah.
anyways. So,
So that's,
yeah.
I mean, understandable, you know. So it's
Yeah.
not like, so the thing, like, it's weird because I think people, when they go through like a program, they expect the program to do things to them, you know. But
Yes.
really, what it is you're changing your thought process, and that could be so unconscious. They, it's so nat. What going back, what I realized with this is that it's so natural the changes that take place. It doesn't feel like the
Right.
system's really doing it to you. But then
Right.
reflecting on how you were to now, it almost doesn't make sense how I used to be.
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
I don't know that person, you know, like of
Hmm.
course this is how it is. And I feel the same way. Like I used to be in the military, so I think that my mind was a lot more structured, than say a civilian, you know, because I went through all these structured type training systems
Sure.
and stuff.
Mhm.
But what I started realizing is, yeah, that some parts of my life were structured, but not my mind. My mind wasn't structured in a way that I could think through things rationally, like to the level that level's never ending too, you know. But
Right.
it this system started structuring it in such a way that I could think things more clearly, and then it
Right.
made room to be able to go after things, that I really wanted. And but in all this, like, I know for myself, there are times of struggle too, and I wanted to
Mhm.
hear about that from you. Like, what going through the
Um,
system, what did you struggle with? Did you revert back to, um, so in the system we're kicking up a bunch of dirt too, right?
yeah.
We're
Right.
making things dirty again, so there's a lot of muck in there, right?
Yes.
And I'm wondering, you know, did you feel some of that muck come up?
Yes, I think so. Just in the there was a lot of frustration in the beginning with this system because time was an issue that I deal with anyways. Like I said, I always feel like I'm rushing against time. I feel like I don't ever have time, and I feel like this was a thing that this system really made me look at time and structure time to allow for this system. Okay, so that was hard for me to like plug that in and find that out. When I started doing that, I started getting very upset with myself because how I handle my time. I started realizing that I waste a lot of time that I shouldn't be wasting. And when I do have that time that I waste, like I need to be productive instead of just sloughing it off and just letting things slide or just letting things go. Or, that was a real frustration because like that's a big struggle with me is time management anyways, because I want to do everything under the sun and I can't. And so that agitates me. But then when I started to realize how much time I waste, like I got really upset with that. Like
Hmm.
then I just shut down one day and just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Um and
Could I make a
then
comment on the time thing real quick?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I had a similar thing. Like as soon as I
Mhm.
started going through this program, for myself, I started getting really angry about people stealing my time. You know, I was like, these people are taking my time up. You know, like they're
Mhm.
wasting it, and
Yes.
it was really infuriating. That I was like, what is going on? You know, and it
Yeah.
was like unconscious too. Again, like I didn't know what was happening to me. I was just really
Yep.
upset that my time was being improperly utilized by people, and
Right.
myself.
Right. Mine was when I realized how much time I waste, and I realized that the things that needs to take my time to do, I was getting frustrated that I had to do those things. And so I
Mm,
felt like I was rushing through all those things just to get through them to get to time that I was going to waste. That was kind of a mental mess for me
yeah.
because it was like I'm trying to rush through things that are important. For instance, 30 minutes every night from 10 o'clock to 10:30 is when I massage my mom's legs for therapy. Okay. It's not something that I should rush through. It's something I enjoy when I'm in the moment. I get a lot out of that because it's time I spend with her. But when I started realizing that I was just rushing through that to get to the wasted time, and then didn't make sense what I was doing on my wasted time because then I wasn't being productive. I wasn't getting there. So that was, yes, that's what really came up during the court system because I had to then manage time and for the program. And I needed, when I realized I had wasted time, well, that's when I started plugging in the program in that time that I was wasting. And it balanced things out. The time that I do now spend with the therapy and stuff, the massage therapy, I'm not rushing through it. In fact, the time has gotten maybe a little bit longer. I'm taking more time in it. Like so that was the biggest thing with the frustration of some of the stuff that was going on. Um work work is my day job kind of frustrates me anyways. And I didn't get frustrated in this one. This one was easy. So like I expected the work part of everything to get a little muddled and like
Mm,
and it has not. It lined up and it has worked. Like I'm not even having to suggest things. Things are now coming at me and they're like, "Hey, let's do this and train
mm,
this person." And so that kind of balanced itself out. Again with the sleeping thing, like that worked its way out easy. The only thing I'm struggling with that part of it is getting my time, my schedule now in with everybody
Everybody
else's
else's, yeah.
schedule. And that'll level out because they now know what I'm working for and why I'm getting up to, my mom's up at 4 o'clock every morning anyways.
Oh,
So when I'm getting up at 5 and I'm downstairs and I'm roaming around, she's confused. What are you doing? What's
yeah.
happening downstairs? Is everything all right? So that was a little difficulty in trying to get that schedule with everybody else working. I'm not going in and talking to my kid at 5 o'clock in the morning because she gets really agitated when I do that. But that's hard scheduling and getting everybody on the same schedule, but that's balancing out now. So like yeah, there were some tough times that's come when you start working with the program. Even changing to your next goal or changing
Mm,
your next thing you're working on, I now anticipate something difficult coming up because it has to,
right.
because that's how change works.
Yeah.
You don't always have the positive. Positive doesn't come until you've gone through all the muck,
Yeah.
and then you get here and you're like, oh, okay, well now I'm here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, even, like, I forgot about it in a way. It's like when you rub up, we talk about the amygdala and how you engage with the amygdala, which is a fear based center thing. Um, and then we want to get into the right brain with this program and then engage with more of the unconscious ability, the more whole, wider picture of reality, and the other emotions versus like the negative stuff. And what I even, I forget is like when you rub up against this part of your brain, the amygdala, it's going to have those feelings of dread, disgust, you know, um, those type of emotions come up when you're moving over. So it would make sense that that would happen to you. But we tend to forget these patterns that exist, like in our lives over, and they happen over and over and over again. But
Yep.
court and somebody else going through court, yourself, um, giving me the perspective of those, that pattern, like you have to go through, sometimes you have to go through or rub up against the negative, in order to enter into a more wider perspective of seeing things. That's just how our
Yes.
brains are structured, so it makes sense.
Right. Yep.
But sometimes we forget, and then like court makes me realize more and more how unconscious I live my life. and
Yes.
and then seeing it and being like, oh, I'm actually becoming more aware.
Right. You talked about how you kind of are in a reflective time. Um, these last about week and a half, I've sat and had a lot of rethinking concepts of like how I go about my daily life, or just concepts of life alone. Like I've really had this rethinking of why we do things, how we do things, archetypal energies coming into play and really like amplifying or like showing me some different things, and it's very interesting. But then I know that's mind expansion. The more the mind expands, the more in depth you can think, the more in depth you're able to
Mm-hmm.
think. You can think outside of things, and it's really interesting. It's kind of it's not really depressing, but it's kind of you become kind of muted, where you don't really have, you don't know what emotion to actually like attach to at that point in time. You're not happy, but you're not sad. It's kind of like I said, that melancholy comes to
Hmm.
mind when that feeling is. And that's something that people need to understand is going to happen when you're dealing with the court system, because it does bring up all kinds of different things, concepts. It may even give you, like, you may see things differently in a light, like
Hmm.
things that you've thought for forever. You may change your thinking on some of the stuff that you now think about. So, I mean, that's people need to understand that's part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, there's some struggle that happens when you start accessing parts of your mind that you typically don't. You know, like that's new,
Yes.
and we don't live in a, like you brought up a good point. We don't live in like a our personal little tiny bubble world. You know, like we have other people involved in our lives. So sometimes people we may change and not realize that other people didn't change with us,
Right.
and they may be um, trying to figure that out. You know, like your mom waking up early and then you wake up early suddenly, and they're like, something's not right here. You know, but
Right.
really you're like, you have a direction with this. You know,
Right. Yeah.
I've had similar things happen to me. You know, like I start thinking differently in a way,
Hmm.
and maybe I'm not super aware that like that change happened, and other
Right.
people are, and then they're like, "What are you talking about?" You know, like you're like, "Oh yeah, like I'm thinking different than I did yesterday,
Right.
and this person
Exactly.
hasn't." I might
Hmm.
have to explain to them a little bit about the things that I'm thinking that have changed. You know, because
Right.
they're used to the pattern which was me
The
before.
old way, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And sometimes and people don't gravitate to it as well when they recognize a change that has happened, because either they don't understand it, or like they're not going through a system to where they are making the conscious change. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's hard for people to understand that when they see that in somebody else.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, another weird thing. I mean, it's not weird, but I had emotional kind of purge take place. I didn't really think too clear of that until now, but about a week ago or something like that. You know, it's like, oh, like these emotional purges are kind of happening, but I didn't realize that was happening at the moment. You know, and
Right.
I'm not sure if you experienced any of that too, like through this or.
Yes. I don't, it's hard for me to pinpoint like what.
Yeah.
I have to go through it and then reflect back on it, and then I can realize that that's what it is. Because a lot of times when I get into that emotional purge, I step outside myself
Mm,
and it just happens, because like those are kind of dragon moments,
yeah.
the internal dragon. And when that happens, like literally, like it takes over, and I'm kind of here going, watching and not able to do anything about it until afterwards. And then I can go, oh, well, this makes sense why this happened. It brought up this, when you start looking through the different lenses, and you're seeing the stuff like Sometimes I see things online that I don't always see in people, and how they're acting or how they're talking, or when you're out in the back, out in the physical world, and you start realizing stuff and you're seeing things in
Mm.
people that you've never even really noticed before, and you kind of get disgusted, or you kind of get, or you see the things that are like make give you a lot of joy, and then you get mad at that because it gives you
Yeah.
that joy feeling,
Yeah.
it's things like that. And yeah, I experience a lot of it. And it's because we're kicking up all that stuff
Yeah.
inside of us, our
Yeah.
brains and our heart and our brain and everything else that goes on. Yeah. So it's interesting. And then the
Yeah.
physical aspects, like, I don't know, you can like physically, one day I
Yeah.
felt sick,
Oh yeah.
just sick. And I knew it had to do with like some of the stuff I was dealing with. But my
Yeah.
physical body just felt sick, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can talk to all that. Like I remember the emotional one, and you may relate to this. Is like, I was watching a documentary on We Are the World, and song, and documentary is fine and everything, but really focusing on Michael Jackson for some reason, and just felt like such sadness for Michael Jackson. Like I just felt so sad about
Yes.
him, and I was like, what an amazing human being, you know, and like just like felt like he was unappreciated, or he, I don't know, I can't even really explain what I felt towards him, but sadness.
Yep.
and and then I was trying to explain it to a friend of mine, an older guy, and I just couldn't make any sense about like what I felt towards Michael Jackson. And this is something that I would normally never have any type of feeling towards, you know, like I was like,
Right.
what the hell is going on? And then also like the physical stuff, um, like things that I never had problems with before really started appearing, like purgative type stuff, you know, like pimples here and stuff like that. And I was like, I've never had that there before. Like, that's weird. And
Right.
it's like the body is physically getting rid of material in it that it no longer
Absolutely.
finds useful,
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's,
We are
it's
human. Our human bodies are very interesting,
yeah.
to say the least.
So, yeah, it definitely affected me on all aspects like you were saying it did for you too. So, it's pretty
Yep.
amazing. So now that you've gone through the program, uh, you know, looking back, where do you see kind of where this is leading you? You know, like where is this taking you now that you've gone through um, this process?
Oh, at this point in time, because I've gone through the first time, I've almost through the completely the second time. This is I am utilizing this now, thinking forward, like planning steps ahead, and trying to get things lined up that as I keep going and working through this, I can start pulling these other things. I'm going to use this as a stepping stone. Like, I understand that this is really helping me go to my next places and climb my mountain to get up to my next thing. So I'm going to long term really look at where I want to go, knowing I have to leave open spots for it to go in whatever direction it goes. But I can really put this timeline together, or this tree together of certain things that I want to work on, to work towards. And that's how I'm going to use this going forward at this point in time. And then once I've completed that tree path, then I'm going to go tell everybody else and show them exactly what I did.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this to really help navigate my next steps into achieving and getting what I'm going after. And I think the system is going to help work with that because, like I said, I feel organized. I have direction. I no longer, like, I used to use theater a lot for like places to direct my energy
Hmm.
to, because I'd have so much, but that's all it went to. Like, went there and then it died. Like, I got it out and it was done.
Hmm.
Well, now I have this. I
Hmm.
can put the energy into, and it keeps going. It keeps generating. It's a constant flow of energy that I'm going to keep utilizing and manipulating to propel me into going into and getting to where I want to get at this point in time. What I'm wanting to be successful at, what I want to accomplish, all those types of components.
Mm. That's great. Yeah. I feel the
Really.
same way when it comes to,
Yeah.
what I want to do in the future with all this is, how not use energy in a way that doesn't continually push me forward, like try not to waste it,
Right.
because I realize how valuable that is to me, and,
Yeah.
and other people. And, going through this with you, I kept in mind, it's like, well, regardless of other people really use this program or not, like as long as it helps one person, if it helps you in some way, then I'd feel like it was an accomplishment, So in that sense, I think
Right.
it was an accomplishment that it could help you, So I'm really glad
I think
that
so too.
you
I
get
feel the
engaged with
same.
it.
I know that you've gone through it and you too have experienced it. So again, it's like that we're the stepping stones of the foundation. And
Yeah,
now it's exciting. Yeah, and now we get to share it with other people and get to experience and watch them go through it. And we have an idea how it's going to be with us. So it's going to be really neat to watch other people differently experience it and see
yeah,
how it applies in their lives too. So I'm very excited to see that part of it. I
yeah,
can't wait to get people in that are very excited to do it as well.
yeah. It'd be great. Well, thanks for being
Yeah.
open and sharing your experiences and going through the process to allow other people to hopefully um, have similar results that you did. So it's been great.
I
So
hope
thank
so.
you.
I hope they do. You're
Awesome.
welcome.